El Norteño.
What's up, Norteños? It's Brandon, and today we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite movies. It is a movie about a Mexican-American rock and roll superstar. And if you know what I'm talking about after saying that, you will know that I'm talking about the movie La Bamba. La Bamba is one of those movies that I really loved as a kid. It's a classic amongst a lot of Mexican Americans here in the United States. It's a great story with a tragic ending. If you don't know the story of Ritchie Valens, it's no mystery. Ritchie Valens died in the plane crash that involved Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. Go into this movie knowing that Ritchie Valens dies. So I want to share some of my favorite moments from this movie, and to be honest, there's a lot of them. But one that just gets me right off the bat is the opening scene with Bob. Bob is Ritchie's brother. He's kind of that bad, tough boy guy who just can't be broken down. And he's just riding on a motorcycle, an Indian motorcycle, on a 2-lane highway. And the movie opens up with Bo Diddley's, a remake of Bo Diddley's Who Do You Love? And you know right away who Bob is, what he's about, and what his character is gonna mean throughout this movie. Dude, his hair, man. That is so Latino right there. That hair and those glasses. You cannot mess with Bob. Now, one thing to note is that this movie begins and ends with one character, Bob. I think another scene that I really like is that one of those first musical scenes with Ritchie and his guitar is when he introduces himself to the Silhouettes. And the Silhouettes are like the biggest high school band in his school, but they're not that good. They're actually pretty boring. But in this scene, Ritchie arrives and he's kind of introducing himself, and he brings his amp. And his amp looks like a piece of junk. And this lead singer looks at Ritchie and he says, "What is that?" And Ritchie says, "That's my amp." And he goes, "It looks like something somebody threw away." One of the best lines is Ritchie just looks at it, looks at his amp, and looks back at the guy and he says, "Well, it's mine now." And then he proceeds to play his guitar, and geez, you realize right then at that moment that Ritchie Valens is more talented than everybody in the Silhouettes, including that jerk lead singer with the saxophone. Another scene that I really love is the scene with Bob and Rosie in their home. And this is one of those scenes that really just, again, it just depicts who Bob is. Just like this really tough, self-centered punk who doesn't care about anybody else. And Rosie is having, a lot of reservations with Bob because they need money, they have no money, he doesn't have a job, he's out selling drugs or doing whatever he does. To try to bring him down to like a place of sympathy or of a place of just understanding, she just tells him the truth. She says, "Bob, I'm pregnant. And Bob he freezes for a moment, he stops, and he's pouring some tequila. And right as she says, "I'm pregnant," he kind of stops his pour. And she's looking at him because she just told him something big. And she says, "Well, aren't you gonna say anything?" He finishes pouring his tequila. And he's like, "What is there to say?
It's not my first.
It's not my first. Or my last." Tequila. Man, every great movie line, every single great movie line should end with a tequila. Luke, I am your father. Tequila. Every great movie line that ever exists in movies, in the past, now, or in the future, should literally finish with tequila.
Just a reminder that this video is brought to you by El Norteño. Don't forget to try our real wood-smoked spicy meat sticks, and of course, our award-winning Cecina beef jerky. Okay, now back to the video.
One of my all-time favorite scene as someone who's like Mexican-American, who's Hispanic, is the scene where Bob takes him to Mexico. He takes him to Tijuana. And this is kind of one of those moments where you really see, like, even though Bob is kind of a bad boy and he's kind of a punk, like, he still really cares for his brother, and he wants to give his brother some life experiences. He wants to show him something outside of his own dream, which is to be a rock and roll superstar. And it's there where he learns the song La Bamba. Richie wakes up the next morning. He's got a new tattoo. He's hungover, and there's this old man. And he's like, muchacho, you know, like, bien crudo, you just woke up, you're so hungover. He has no idea what this guy's saying to him. And he just looks at him, he goes, yo no speako español. And the best part about it is the old man just laughs. He's just like, because right then he knows, like, Richie, you're not a Mexican. No eres mexicano, way. You know, like, what? Like, right in that moment is such a clash of cultures, and it's something that I can relate to. The scene also kind of diverts into more of a prideful moment where Richie's back in the tent and he looks at his brother and he goes, what is all this? What is everything that I'm experiencing right now? And Bob looks at Richie and he's just like, Mexico. Like, this is Mexico, man. And it's at that moment where he's, ooh, the pride. You got me. I'm so proud. Like, yeah, that's Mexico, man. Like, this is Mexico. This is where our family's from. That moment is what directed him to make the song La Bamba a rock and roll song. That kind of leads me to probably the most impactful scene of the movie. The scene where Richie Valens finally passes away in that plane crash. And as I said from the very beginning, this movie begins with one character and ends with one character, and it's Bob. And you just see, like, everything around him is just, he's got nothing now. You know, it kind of exposes the character. He lost his brother, who was the best thing in his life, even though it was the thing that he fought against throughout the whole movie. It's such a tough scene. That's La Bamba, man, and that's one of my favorite movies. If you get a chance to see it. I recommend it. It's easily one of the best movies of my childhood. If you're a Mexican American, it's definitely worth the watch. La Bamba. Get into it. Like, spend some time, watch it. You're gonna love it. Get ready to maybe drop a tear. Get that little hurtful lump in your throat. It's one of those movies. All right, guys.
El Norteño.